Good morning all, it's everyone's favourite video genre format, What's in My Handbag? And today's subgenre is It's a Wind-Up. Now, just a little bit about today's handbag. Well, it's black. So let's get straight in there, and today's first item is a little wind-up torch. This one is a refractor. Let's see if it works. Now, the usual thing with these wind-up torches is that the battery is completely flat at all times. So let's give it a quick wind. Yeah, brilliant. Fantastic. I mean, handle, gearbox, motor, diode probably, small NiCad or nickel metal hydride cell, switch there, and 2 LEDs. It's a fantastic little package. Now this thing is this sort of soft touch rubber stuff, this soft rubber touch feel, but the problem with this is that after a few years it goes all sticky, and this one is just at that point where it's starting to go a bit sticky. So how much longer I'm going to hang on to this, I don't know. But okay, next out of the bag is this. It's a solar powered torch, solar panel there, amorphous, I don't know how many cells there are, switch on the back. This one works, this one does seem to hold its power. This has got a removable, rechargeable lithium LIR 2450 cell, I think it is. In fact, I'll take it out. Let's have a look. Okay, here's the cell. Yeah, it's a 3.6 volt LIR 2450 lithium ion battery. Now, I think this came from TK Maxx. It's one of those purchases where your wife's buying, I don't know, handbags or something, and there's an aisle of men's stuff, and it's all just Chinese gadget tut, and you stand there thinking, well, I don't really need this, but it's quite nice, isn't it? So I'll buy it. Now, if you're thinking that's not wind-up, well, it is actually. It's got this hidden ring here, and you just pop it out, and there's a bit of fishing line there, and then you pull the cord, and that charges the battery. You have to put it quite fast. And there's a bit of red at the end of the fishing line to tell you when you've potentially gone too far. But that's it. It's a wind-up and solar torch. It's actually quite good, isn't it? Next up is this. This was Pound Shop, I believe, although I've seen these on eBay as well. It's just a wind-up thing, but there's no battery in this, just gears and a motor, and I think a regulator. Actually, I might take this apart in a moment, just see what's inside. So you just wind it, and I think this is the sort of 6 volt output that was typical of Nokia phones, for charging Nokia phones. I mean, today this would be ridiculous, trying to charge a smartphone with 2 hours at sort of 10 watts. I don't think so. Let's take that one apart. Okay, next is this. This is Tesco Value Wind-Up Radio, a RAD 306. And despite the fact that this was quite cheap, about £7 I think, it's actually really good. Let's switch on the light. Oh yeah, usual thing. Battery is completely flat. So let's give it a bit of a blast. And yeah, that works beautifully. Now you can either have light or radio, so let's have radio. Switch it on.
Public will have lost trust in some of these organisations.
Now there's a switch here, battery selection. You can either use the generated battery, in other words the rechargeable one, or you can put batteries in this battery compartment, a couple of AAs I think, and switch to normal alkaline or even rechargeable batteries I guess, and use it like that. It's quite versatile. It's a really good device. Tesco Value, £7. Okay, next out of the bag is this. Now this is a really nice wind-up radio, and I'm not kidding, this is very, very high quality. It's Free Play, which is the company that had some connection with Trevor Bayliss, who is the inventor of the wind-up radio. It's got a fantastic three-phase generator there, 9 coils of wire, and then the neodymium magnets whiz around the outside of that. Let me just turn the handle very slowly, and you can see the way that the magnets fly around the outside of that generator. It's beautifully made. The gears are plastic, but they're very, very heavy duty, and you only have to listen to this thing when you wind it to know that it's in a different league. And you generate a lot of power. Look, the LEDs come on. Oh, the LED must have been left on. So, I mean, that battery was totally flat. A few turns and that'll run for quite a while on the LED. The batteries are 3AA nickel metal hydrides, but they're not LSD. In fact, we can see that. Yes, they're NIM AAA 600 milliamp hour 3.6 volt pack. They're not low self-discharge, so once again this thing is always flat when you come to use it. Let's try the radio.
Let's make 2 changes. MacArthur in for Ledley in midfield.
Some football stuff which I don't really fully understand. So this one has FM or AM. It's just got a standard off-the-shelf AM/FM radio chip in there. You can just about see that with some resistors strangely strapped across it. Also has a USB, a mini for charging it, which is quite a sensible idea. But I love the way you can see through it, and it's just quality. I mean, look at the way this LED thing works. The LED actually moves out on its own little carrier, which also works the switch. It's wonderful. And there's also a solar panel on the top of here, which is actually quite effective. If the battery is completely flat and you turn both the radio and the LED on, take it out into the sunshine and they just both immediately fire up. And I presume it charges the battery at the same time. It's got a really big speaker, so it's capable of going quite loud. Should we test that?
What I call combination players. For example, if you took one...
More football stuff. Now, I don't think you can buy this one anymore. I've had a look at the free play website and this one's not listed. There are similar items that have similar set of functions, but no, this is definitely my favourite wind-up solar radio and torch. Okay, next out of the bag is this. Now, this is also free play, so it's by the same company, but it's not a radio, it's not a torch, it's a free charge 12 volts. And all it does is it has a cigarette lighter end there. It has a similar, although it's not absolutely identical, 3-phase generator. You can see the neodymium magnets, and again, just might be able to see them moving around the coils. It's slightly smaller than the radio. You can see the size difference there, I hope, just about. But the idea is that you just turn it and it generates 12 volts. Now there's a regulator in here which limits the 12 volts to about 14.2, I think, or something like that. But listen to the sound it makes is just quality again. It's sort of indicative of this free play engineering. It is very high quality. Now, I got this cheap. I think it came from Comet, who don't exist anymore. I think it was just £10. But oddly enough, this is still on Freeplay's website. £20 on there. So I don't know whether this is much of a seller, but I mean, once again, if you were charging a smartphone with this thing, I have managed to get 10 watts out of this. You'd have to be turning this handle for an hour or 2 hours. It's just totally impractical, and I assume that the reason I got this cheap was because no one was buying it. But if it's still for sale, maybe they are. Let's actually see if we can get 10 watts out of this. So here's a 10 watt LED lamp type thing, 10 watt, one of those sort of 9 LEDs in a cob type arrangement. So let's plug that into there, plug the cigarette lighter thingy into there, and start turning the handle and see how easy it is to get 10 watts. Oh, well, actually it's not that difficult. Let's go a bit quicker. Now, of course, this will be regulated, current limited, so there's no point in me going any faster than I need to. If I go a bit too slow, you can see that it starts to drop off. But yeah, it's actually quite hard work keeping up a constant 10 watts. Now when I got this, I was kind of interested in how to tap into the generator output directly. So I added this second cable with one of these sort of reversible solar panel connectors. And you can get over 20 volts out of this thing behind the regulator. So I wanted to use it as a sort of solar panel simulator, but once again it's pretty impractical because you've got to keep turning the handle. But let's just stick a meter on there and see how many volts you can get out of it. Right, a bit of a lash up on the probe leads going into the connector, but let's see how we go. 4, 3. What is going on? 18, 20, 28. Did you just see 30 volts there? I think I did. Now I've just noticed that you can see the 3 wires coming off the generator there, so it's definitely 3-phase. There they are, running into that sort of set of that comb type thing. But yes, this is a very interesting device, very high quality. But it's not really featured in my videos before because, well, it's actually rather useless. I can't think what to do with it particularly. And finally, it's the big one. It's this, which is one of these car booster power packs. And it's absolutely awash with features. So let's go through them. So it has this liquid crystal display which tells you the time, the voltage of the battery, which is quite handy, inside and outside temperatures. Now that doesn't mean what you think. It's actually the inside temperature is the temperature of the electronics, because when you use the inverter, which I'll come to in a minute, that can warm up, and the outside temperature is just ambient temperature. It's 19 in the room at the moment. 85% charge, that's probably highly inaccurate. And 3 buttons here to switch on the AC, which is the inverter, the USB socket, which is not on all the time, and then to set the clock and stuff like that. It got a bit bumped here on the front. Now in this front compartment, we've got the massive crocodile clips, and if I take those out, they're fairly short and they just end in these big ring terminals. And what you do is you screw them onto these battery posts, which are connected with very thick cable directly to the 12 amp hour lead acid battery, gel battery, that's in here. So it's a really nice arrangement. It's conveniently packaged, and yet it's actually pretty easy to use as well. So let's put the cover back on that section. It takes a bit of sort of manoeuvring it to get it back. Okay, what else has this thing got? Well, it's got a light. It's an LED, it's 1 watt. You press it to make that come on. If you press it again, you've got these 3 red LEDs that flash on and off, sort of emergency beacon type thing. Press that again to turn it off. Under here, we've got the AC 230 volt output with one of these sort of universal sockets here. 100 watts max, so you can run main stuff off that. There's a DC in for the charger unit that came with this, which I think is 15 volts. And there's a smaller socket there for a solar panel, so you can charge this from solar. And there's the USB output. Now I can't remember what this is. It's not high current, but I don't think it's stupid half an amp, 500 milliamps. I think it might be 1 amp. Now on this side there is a 12 volt cigarette lighter style output, which is fused at 20 amps, which is a really handy feature, and I've used this quite a lot on my videos for driving things like 100 watt LEDs and the like. But the thing that makes this thing relevant to this particular video is the enormous wind-up generator. Let's give it a go. Actually, before I do, the voltage on here is 12.6. Let's give this a bit of a wind. Now that beeping means fully charged. It would normally do that when you plug in the mains adapter, but that's now gone up to 13.4. It won't stay there very long. And if I turn on something like the light, there's a backlight on this LCD as well, then that'll drop down fairly quickly. Now when I got this, I kind of thought, wind-up handle, lead acid, is that a good combination? Because the last thing you want lead acid to be is completely flat, so why would you need to wind it up? But I suppose if the lead acid is just a bit low, and the car is just not turning over very successfully, you could just give it a few turns on the handle, well, quite a lot of turns on the handle, to bring the voltage of the battery up, bring the charge level up a bit, and that could make the difference between starting your car and not starting your car. Now let's just try this inverter. I've got a 100-watt bulb here, plug that into the universal socket thing. Now, how do you do this? I think we have to turn on the AC by holding that for a few seconds. Oh yes, that's good. 100 watts of power, what's that doing to the voltage? Oh yes, that's dropped quite a bit. 11.8, but it is holding. 11.7. So that's the maximum that the inverter can deliver in terms of power. Now if I leave this for a bit, you'll notice this temperature going up. It has gone up a bit already. 23. And at some point, a fan will come on. There's actually a fan in there. So I think I'll leave it until that happens. Now, this is quite nice. It actually tells you how many watts it's delivering. So it's delivering 81 watts into this 100-watt bulb. Temperature is creeping up, 35 degrees now. I don't think the fan kicks in until that gets to 60 degrees. So I'm going to have to wait a bit longer. Okay, the inverter circuitry is now up to 59 degrees, 60 degrees. Actually, I've got a feeling it doesn't come on till 61. Here we go. High temperature, fans come on, you can almost certainly hear that, bulb's still on. And then that should go back down. 59. And it's cut back out. It's brilliant, isn't it? I love this thing. Now, I don't tend to leave this in the car anymore because I got one of those sort of lithium jump starter things and they're just so much more compact. So this tends to sit in the house, but it's just such a useful thing, particularly the 12 volts output. I got this from Maplin a few years ago, but I think it's also sold under the name of something Elephant. Oh, the inverter's still on. I can press and hold the AC switch to turn that off. Otherwise, it'll just keep running the circuitry and drain the battery. Yeah, I think it's called a Jumbo or an Elephant or something like that. So that's what's in my handbag. Or I think all of my wind-up devices. Now, I did promise a quick teardown of this, and it's going to be very much a one-way because this is a completely horrid little thing, and I want to chuck it out. So let's take this apart. Just 2 screws, I think. Yep. Yeah, so motor, well, that comes out separately. What have we got on here? Now, I thought this might be a regulator, but I don't think it is. It says D331. I think it's just a transistor. That, however, is a 6.8 volt Zener diode. That's pretty much it. A couple of resistors, a diode, a socket, the output socket, and a smoothing capacitor, whatever that might be intended for. And now, to make sure that I can never use this again, let's take all these gears out, totally lose all the positions, mix them all up. Yep, that is not ever going to be used again. Actually, I've just noticed that these 3 gears are all the same, so I could probably get it back together, but I'm not going to because it looks like this one has had a really bad time and all the teeth on the smaller pinion there are all a bit distorted. So it's goodbye horrible wind-up generator. Although I might hang on to this motor. Yeah, that's quite nice. Cheerio.